Welcome back to Explaining Everything, the channel where we dive into the stories and mysteries behind everyday things. Today's question comes from one of our curious viewers. Kyle says what? Thanks for the suggestion, Kyle. You asked, why do we all have different accents? And that's a great question. You've probably noticed how people from different places can say the same word in totally different ways. Like Americans say wotah, while Brits say wotah, and Australians just refuse to pronounce the R at all. And then there are people from Boston who have somehow decided that car is pronounced ka. But why do accents exist? How did we end up sounding so different when we all started with the same language? Buckle up, because today we're diving into the wild, hilarious, and surprisingly scientific world of accents right here on Explaining Everything. So, let's start at the beginning. Imagine a time before TikTok, before cell phones, before even the internet. Yep, we're going way back. Humans have been talking for thousands of years, but back in the day, people didn't travel much. If you were born in a small village, you probably stay there forever. That meant you spoke like everyone around you. But over time, little changes started creeping into speech. Maybe one group started pronouncing a word slightly differently, or they made up some slang that another village didn't use. Before long, boom, accents were born. This is why accents tend to form in isolated areas. The more separated a group of people is, the more their way of speaking starts to develop its unique twist. Think about places like Louisiana, Scotland, or even New York City. Accents thrive in areas where communities have their own culture and history. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but why do accents keep changing? Great question, Kyle. Accents aren't just a one-time thing. They keep evolving. Think of them like fashion trends. What's cool today might be weird tomorrow. Back in Shakespeare's time, for example, English speakers sounded nothing like they do now. The British accent we think of today, the one with all the fancy proper pronunciation, didn't even exist back then. The way people speak shifts because of a bunch of things. Geography, mountains, rivers, and oceans separate people, so their accents develop differently. Social influence. Fancy people sometimes change how they talk to sound more, well, fancy. And then everyone else starts copying them. Migration. When groups of people move to new places, they mix their old accents with the new ones, creating brand new ways of speaking. Technology. Believe it or not, radio, TV, and the internet are changing accents right now. Some regional accents are fading because people hear more mainstream pronunciations in the media. It's like one giant, never-ending remix of how we talk. If you've ever driven across the US, you know that the accent changes a lot. You can go from a southern drawl in Texas to a super-fast New York accent in just a few states. But why? Well, it all comes down to immigration. The US is like the ultimate language smoothie. Different groups settled in different places, Germans in Pennsylvania, the French in Louisiana, the Irish in Boston, and so on. Over time, their original languages blended with English, creating unique accents in different areas. That's why a Brooklyn accent sounds different from a Southern accent. They came from completely different linguistic influences. And let's be real. If you put a Texan, a Bostonian, and a Californian in the same room. You might need subtitles. Now, here's something mind-blowing. Did you know that Americans used to sound like the British? Yep, when the first British settlers came to America, they brought their accents with them. So, what happened? Well, ironically, it was the British who changed, not the Americans. In the 1700s, upper-class Brits started speaking in a new, more refined way, what we now call the received pronunciation, or the posh British accent. Meanwhile, American colonists kept the older pronunciation, which is why some American accents today, especially in rural areas, sound closer to Shakespearean English than modern British English does. So basically, America kept the old-school British accent, while Britain went all in on the fancy upgrade. Have you ever noticed that when you spend time around people with a different accent, you accidentally start copying them? It's not just you. It's a real psychological thing called linguistic accommodation, which is a fancy way of saying your brain wants to fit in. Humans are social creatures, and our brains are wired to adapt to the way others speak. It helps with bonding, communication, and not standing out too much. That's why people who move to new places sometimes develop new accents without even realizing it. All right, let's say you don't like your accent. Can you change it? Absolutely. People can train themselves to speak differently, and professional actors do this all the time. But accents are deeply ingrained in how we talk, so it takes a lot of practice. If you want to change your accent, you'll need to listen carefully to the new accent you want. Mimic native speakers without being cringy about it. Practice speaking out loud every day. Be patient. It takes time. But honestly, your accent is part of what makes you you. Embrace it. So, what have we learned today? Accents exist because humans stayed in their own little pockets for a long time, developing their ways of speaking. British and American accents started the same but took very different paths. Your brain automatically picks up accents to fit in with others. And yes, you can change your accent, but why not just rock the one you have? At the end of the day, accents are a fascinating, ever-changing part of language that makes the world a much more interesting place. So whether you say tomato or tomato, just own it. Stay curious, keep asking weird questions, and we'll see you next time on Explaining Everything. If you like this video, hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for tuning in, and join us next time here in the channel that answers all the why, what, who, where, and how questions you've always wondered about, here on Explaining Everything.